So Piyush ji, welcome once again to the CNBC TV18 Business Leaders Awards. Thank you for taking out time for what must be a busy time for you as a minister. So you've clearly been the man of the match when it comes to signing a whole number of trade deals. There's the mother of all deals, the one with the EU, the FTA with the UK, and then the framework agreement which was announced early February, leading to the what was expected to be an agreement in March and April. But barely had the ink dried on some of these agreements, we have a big geopolitical crisis on our hands. So let me start with the what is most topical first. Your first reactions to the geopolitical crisis, has the government worked out any estimates of the impact on GDP or inflation, the direction of the rupee?
I think India is a very resilient country, a very strong economy with good fundamentals. And I'm very confident that while we have a war raging on, I'm not an astrologer and can't predict how long it'll run. But my own sense is the people of India understand that this is a challenge we have to overcome. The people of India are ready and willing to work together with the government, find solutions. And I think what Prime Minister Modi has consistently guided all of us is to find opportunities in the crisis.
Right.
Whenever we faced a challenge, we've always been able to convert that into an opportunity. And I'm sure this will be a wake-up call for many of us. This will help us plan for a better future, a more self-reliant and resilient future. And my own sense is that there will be a certain shortfall in economic activity in the short run.
Right.
But we'll make up for that in the months to come. We'll continue to be the fastest growing large economy in the world for at least 2 more decades. And we are well poised to become the trusted partner of the world.
Would you, specifically on the rupee which has been falling, any views on what we can do about that?
I think it's a function of the confidence in the economic situation as we go forward. We've certainly seen that investments in any period of time, when there is a conflict or a war, usually look for safe haven. We've seen a lot of money flow into gold, for instance, and the import of gold and silver has shot up. Similarly, in such periods, you find that the flow of investments into the stock market, the confidence of the international investors who are otherwise looking for larger ticket investments in India gets delayed a little bit. And therefore, I do believe that while we are facing a stress on the rupee, my own gut feeling is, given our very robust reserves, and we have almost got 12 months of import equivalents as reserves in the Reserve Bank of India kitty, I don't see any reason for anybody to panic. I think the rupee will also bounce back in a more gradual fashion, possibly, once the war is over.
Right. And specifically for exporters, have you been in dialogue with them? Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, we are in dialogue with all our stakeholders on a daily basis. So as soon as the war broke out, by the second day, the Commerce and Industry Ministry was on the job. We set up an interministerial group which covered all the various stakeholder line ministries. We've been engaging with all the export promotion councils on a daily basis. Right. We have a 24-hour helpline ready to resolve any issues. And we are continuously coming up with the standard operating procedures to help any cargo which needs to come back, to see how we can have customs support or port support to ensure exporters don't face any problem, or importers for that matter, because there are many components we need to import also. And the Commerce Ministry has also worked out certain schemes which will help create an insurance cover should any export cargo be damaged or lost or even inordinately delayed because of the Red Sea problem or the Strait of Hormuz problem,
right,
or the shipping line difficulties. We are working on a scheme on that. We are doing the interministerial consultation. Next week, we'll be coming out with some more concrete action agenda to support the exporters.
In general, what would you, because there is obviously some concern among India Inc. In this room. I mean, they're worried about demand destruction. They're worried about, for example, the shortfall in natural gas. Some industries are being affected. So what is your message to them? What can you say to reassure them?
Well, I think the Petroleum Ministry and the Ministry of External Affairs has been very candid and upfront in sharing with both the people of India and also particularly with business that obviously when there is a war, there are going to be problems,
obviously,
there are going to be challenges. We all in this room jolly well understand that. Having said that, the good news is on crude oil, on fuel, we are pretty well placed. We have good stocks in hand. So you've seen there's been absolutely no disturbance of any sort on the crude or the fuel front, petrol, diesel, aviation fuel. We've in fact ramped up kerosene production so that should there be any delays in LPG supplies, we'll be able to make it up, give alternate cooking medium to the common man. Incidentally, we are also covering through imports from diversified sources the requirements of LPG and LNG also.
Right.
But we all know that the major chunk of gas came from the Middle East. And the shipping times were barely 3 or 4 days, at best 7 days, when these shipments of gas came into India. Now we have to diversify to sources which are significantly far away from India. So Canada, the United States, possibly Russia. We are looking at various sources of alternate sources which will feed the requirements of India. What we have only done is to increase the time between two cylinders that a person can take. And of course, there's been a short term, it's more a supply demand time issue. It's not an issue of finally the availability as much as the timing to be able to give enough shipping time for these gas sources to reach India. And therefore, I see no reason to panic. I wish people would understand that we are in a war situation. They should not hoard gas cylinders. And should that message go down to the people, and media can play a very important role, sorry, rather than showing a very negative picture on media, I hope all of you get together, show some nationalist spirit,
of course,
educate the people that there is no reason to panic, stop hoarding, and then I don't think there'll be any cause for concern.
Yeah, no, that point is well taken. Just one last question. So, are there contracts we've already entered into with some of the suppliers, the US, Canada, Russia?
It's a continuous process.
Right.
Already the people are aware that the government has been looking to diversify its sources of energy. That has been the stated goal of the government over several years. And we have accelerated that process, and many contracts have been entered into. Many has started shipping supplies from new alternatives. And my sense is, A, the war may not last very long. B, even if it should, the alternates and diversified sources should be able to meet our requirements in the very near future.
Yeah, we hope you're right that the war should not last. Hopefully in a few days it should be over. But we'll see. Just one more question. We were doing an FTA with Israel. We had started talks, and also a wider FTA with the GCC countries, right? We have one with the UAE already. What is the status of those post the conflict?
Of course, I'm sure all of you are aware that the 9 free trade agreements that we have entered into under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi in the last 3.5 years cover 38 prosperous and developed countries. I mean, the least of them is Mauritius, where the per capita income is below $20,000, but they are largely into tourism and financial services and don't hurt the Indian economy, they only complement us. All the other 37 have high per capita incomes, most cases $30, $50, $60,000 per capita. Some of them 90,000, 100,000 like the United States or Switzerland, or even $200,000 per capita in Liechtenstein. All of this has opened up huge avenues and have given us a global footprint where we have preferential market access for 2/3 of global trade. I think never before has India been so ambitious, so self-confident, and been willing to negotiate from a position of strength as we have in the last few years. These 38 economies will help us expand both our goods and services business, will help us attract large pools of investment and hopefully strengthen the rupee going forward very quickly, because many of these FTAs also have a committed FDI component and large amount pools of capital for innovation, for manufacturing are expected from there. And as we speak, I have 6 new free trade agreements going on in my office. We have Israel, where we launched negotiations some time back when I had visited Israel. We have the GCC, we already have Oman and UAE. Now all the 6 GCC countries, the Gulf countries, want to have a FTA with India. We are already in dialogue with Chile and we are already in dialogue with Peru. We are looking at Mercosur for a free trade agreement against a small PTA, preferential trade agreement, that we had in the past. There's dialogue with Mexico, which is still at the initial stages, but in the later part of this year, we hope to launch a Mexico engagement. SACU is another area, the South Africa-led union, where we are looking at possibly working to create a trading relationship. I had the Korean minister with me yesterday. We have a free trade agreement very badly negotiated by the Congress government.
Which you're trying to renegotiate.
And I'm in public, I mean, it's not nothing I'm saying for the first time or politicizing the issue. I think every businessman in India knows that the Japan, Korea and ASEAN, the 3 FTAs the Congress did, all 3 have hurt India. We've hardly seen any significant increase in our exports. We've only seen greater amount of imports coming from these 3 geographies. So we've already started negotiating with Korea for a more balanced and fair FTA. Yesterday also we discussed it with my counterpart. The ASEAN negotiations are at an advanced stage. Japan has still not started renegotiating, but it's very high on our agenda. So all in all, we are looking to have greater investments, greater trading opportunities, greater amount of countries with whom we can provide services, so that young India, full of aspirations, full of talent, full of skill, becomes the growth engine of the world.
Okay, one last question on the Indo-US FTA. How does the US Supreme Court ruling change things? Will there be a delay? Because
well, I think we had a very, very robust and good free trade agreement that we had, the first tranche of it, we had finalized with the United States. I think it was possibly on 3rd of February that we announced it. I'd like to just specify for some of you who may not be familiar with free trade agreements, a trade agreement is about getting preferential access versus your competitors. The absolute tariff does not matter. The important thing is, do you have a preferential market access compared to your competition? And I must share with you, the US agreement gave India the lowest import duty into the United States compared to all our peers, all our competitors, whether it's Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan. You all the competing economies, if you go to see, we had the best rate amongst all. Apart from that, we had a number of products where we would get zero duty. So giving us a great opportunity to expand trade with the US. We had also been able to negotiate with the United States going forward significant access to technology, significant access to data center equipment, which would lead to huge investments coming into the country. All in all, the first tranche or the interim agreement that we were looking to finalize was very good for the economy. Of course, the Supreme Court of the US has ruled against the executive powers of the president, due to which the preferential part of our engagement has been lost. And therefore, we are in dialogue with the United States to see how they will once again give us a preferential market access, which is better than our competitors, so that we can finalize the free trade agreement. We stand by the free trade agreement. Please don't carried away by some news reports that I saw probably yesterday.
That's right, yeah.
From some foreign news agencies. Half the times I would actually urge you that what you read in some of these news agencies, please do not believe. Only believe what the government or the official media tells you. Fortunately, organizations like CNBC TV 18 at least call us up to confirm any news that they're going to play, whether there's merit in it or whether it's a fake news. What you saw yesterday in a couple of foreign agencies was completely fake news.
Which talked about
India stands by the trade agreement. We are looking to rebalance to get back our preferential access compared to our competitors. Our teams are in continuous negotiation and we'll hopefully finalize it soon. Okay. One thing I'll take the opportunity of sharing with all of you. India today, when we finalize a free trade agreement, whilst we have significant offensive interests, which we are fighting to get a bigger market share or bigger pie for our businesses, for our farm produce, for our fish produce, for our MSMEs to flourish, at the same time, we protect sensitive sectors where we do not give preferential market access in India when we finalize a free trade agreement. So for example, with the US, all GM products will not be allowed entry into India, which means almost 90 or 95% of American major crops are just not allowed entry into India.
Right.
So whether it's corn, whether it's soy meal, whether it's rice, wheat, millets, some of the pulses, many items which we are self-sufficient in, there's no market access that we have given. The only access given is areas where we are currently importing or we do not threaten our farmers. And I think this is a loud message that India is the only country in the world, and I repeat, India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and thanks to all of you who are the backbone of this strong economy, who are the trusted partners of businesses around the world, thanks to each one of you and all those beyond this room, we are able to get free trade agreements with the European Union, 27 nations, with the United States of America, with the United Kingdom, with the 4-nation EFTA bloc, with Australia, with New Zealand, all of these without opening our dairy. None of these countries has ever done a free trade agreement which did not have market access in dairy. India is the one country, thanks to the strength of all of the 140 crore Indians, the fact that we are the most trusted partner in the world today. The world wants to do business with India. The world wants to have India in their resilient supply chains. Because of that, all 6 of these geographies, all of Europe, all of the Oceania region, the United States, all of them, we have not opened our dairy and safeguarded the interests of millions and millions of farmers, our fishermen, our animal husbandry players, our MSMEs, our women entrepreneurs, and yet opened up huge opportunities, whether in the textile sector, whether in handlooms and handicrafts, leather, footwear, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, automobiles. The world is now our stage. And I think all of us need to get out of our cozy comfort zone, need to look beyond the 1.4 billion Indian market, because as the economy grows from $4 trillion to $30 trillion when we celebrate 100 years of independence, these global engagements and focusing on internationalizing our businesses is going to play the most important role. Thank you.
Thank you, Piyush ji. That's a good note to wrap up. Thank you.